What happens if Khabib or Conor falls out? Does Conor take that replacement fight who probably is going to be Kevin Lee, it seems like? Does he take it? Because Woodley has just come out and said, I'm not taking Kamaru Usman. I'm training for Darren Till. I'm training for a completely different type of guy. And I completely get that. I was talking to Jason last week, and Jason thinks, yeah, if Khabib falls out, Conor's taking anybody. But then if you look at, I know Conor's a different type of guy, but when you look at what happened with Conor and Nate, that has to be in Conor's mind saying, man, I took that fight on short notice and lost that one. I still think he probably will, because that's the type of guy he is. He probably will take any fight. But it's a weird one. It's a weird one at the top level when you have a guy, or you have this matchup and you're building it up, you're promoting it, and then it falls out and you say, let's just throw anybody in, or let's just get a replacement. There's your main event. I just find it weird. It wouldn't happen in boxing.
First of all, just to remind when I'm talking about the electrical cord, you could tell that the electrical cord fights at 55 because he finished Ferguson, but he only got a takedown on Daniel Cormier. So very he's good. Not big enough. He's not big enough for the light heavyweights or heavyweights. Does Conor take another fight? No, I don't think so, because Khabib holds the belt. Conor doesn't want a plastic interim belt and go visiting American Marines pretending you're a champion when you're not a champion, or go to the presidential house and sit with and pretend you're a champion when you're not a champion. He's interested in, that's Kobe Compton just got he is interested in fighting Khabib, number one, because of everything that happened, and going for that title shot, number two. If Conor was to take on Kevin Lee, and I think to your point about Woodley, I think Kevin Lee obviously is better striking than Khabib, but he's similar style. He's just a heavy grappler as well. So it's not as big as a jump for Woodley dropping Till to fight Usman. That's night and day, chalk and cheese. You know what I mean? It's while there's some similarities between Khabib and Kevin Lee. I'm not saying they're the same, but there's similarities in your training that you do, wrestling and stuff. But I don't think Conor would take Kevin Lee if he dropped. Now, Conor probably fucking would, you know yourself. But I think his management would be screaming no, because
I agree with that one.
Khabib is the fight. It's the fight that has to happen with everything that's happened. He's going in on Khabib's dad. He's going in on his mate. Slapping a Chechen for a Dagestan man and all. You know what I mean? It's Conor's mental warfare has started. It's getting pretty political. But I don't see him fighting anybody else except Khabib.
There's a comment there by Otto Roadrunner, and like, this is a common thing that happens in MMA, and it's something that I kind of was on this kind of same side of the argument a few years ago. 100%. I can't believe he said he would not fight Usman. Unbelievable. So that was about Tyron Woodley, and like when I was talking about this last week, like I get it. I completely get it.
100%.
He's the champion. He's going in there to fight a guy who he's signed a contract to fight. And even if you're told there's a possibility that you're going to have to fight Usman on short notice, technically you can argue it's not short notice because you're being told ahead of time. But you're in a very difficult situation when you have to train for two different styles of fighter. And I just think that it's a bit too much to ask, unless he's been told, if this happens, you're getting an X amount of money as a bonus. And then that's a different story. He can kind of negotiate that. But just to tell him and say, okay, you're signing this contract, and by the way, if your opponent falls out, you're fighting this guy. And if you don't fight this guy, Dana White is going to go out into the media and say that you're avoiding this guy. I think it's very unfair on the fighter. I think it's very, very unfair.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like, it's same with you, like when fights fall through, like this is the thing about the great story about Conor when he was due to fight Aldo the first time, wasn't it? And they came in and Conor was asleep and they woke him up to tell him, you know, he's out, Chad Mendes is in. You go, doesn't matter who it is, I'll fight the lot.
That's admirable.
Like that story is now, you know what I mean, legacy in MMA, and like a lot of fighters have done that. But when you look at, especially now, the marketability, and I know like Woodley is not a light fighter. People constantly give out about him. I don't think you can question his ability in fighting. I just think he is very smart in, he realizes and Daniel Cormier done the same thing. Remember, they gave him back the belt after John Jones popped, and he said, I didn't want to turn it down, because walking to the octagon with a belt strapped around you is a lot
extra
more money.
Cash.
So I think Tyron Woodley is very smart business wise. He understands the game in that sense, and I just think it'd be very different if he was training, fighting Darren Till, and Darren Till pulled out injured and Wonder Boy stepped up. Do you know what I mean? He might go, yeah, fuck it, I'll fight Wonder Boy. Do you know what I mean? Because he's a striker, you know what I mean? He's a stand-up striker. While you're fighting Usman, it's a completely different fight. So I think, especially how many days out are we now? We're less than 2 weeks out. We're 12 days out.
Sure.
Like, if something was to happen now, I think 12 days notice for your champion who has defended his belt, can't think off the top of my head many times. Does he give that up to just take on, and let's be honest, Usman is if I was fighting in the game, if I was playing UFC on bleeding Xbox or whatever, and someone pulled out and you were training, doing all your stupid training program to fight one fighter, and then all of a sudden you were fighting a completely different style fighter, you'd want a full camp. So this isn't video games, this is real life, and I don't think Tyron Woodley should be giving out about, or fans moaning at him for saying, he won't take the fight. I just think it's poor form if the UFC were to slam him saying he's dodging him. He's certainly not dodging him. I honestly don't think any of these, a champion, and this whole he's dodging him. I don't think any fighter in the business is afraid of any other fighter in the business, especially if you're the champion. You're not afraid of anyone. So it's just a matter of he wants the correct preparation time, and I don't think that should be seen as a sin.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I get people's perspectives, and I can see some people think, as I said, he knows in advance, but I think it's fine if he agrees to that originally. When he signs the contract and he agrees to that and he's getting something from that, training for two different people, perfectly fine. And it would be bad if he said after he signed that contract where he said that he's going to fight the other guy, if Darren Till falls out, then that's a different story. But just telling him that, there's a possibility your opponent's going to fall out, you're going to fight this guy that you haven't been putting your mind completely on, I just think it's a bit unfair.